Can you imagine like a B2B contract with, I don't know, Colissimo or Amazon? That doesn't happen on highways, that happens in cities. So if you're very good on cities, you have more reward.
Most people think the biggest obstacle to electric vehicles is the car. It's not. It's whether if you can reliably charge it. Billions have been invested in EV charging across Europe, and some of the biggest players have already gone bankrupt. If you've ever wondered who is actually solving this, have a listen.
Out of 700 stations live today, we're opening every day.
Wait, you open 700 stations a day?
We had to build it before June 30th, all of them. And if not, you had 5,000 euros a day of penalty. But 60 days in a row, one station is roughly €500,000, a bit more.
How long does it take for your station to be profitable?
It's location and EV penetration. Our
guest today is Julien, the co-founder and COO of Electra, the EV fast charging network rated most reliable in Europe.
At Electra, we try to encourage people switching to electric cars by providing a super fast infrastructure, helping them charge very easily and in 15 to 20 minutes.
In 4 years, Electra went from a lockdown conversation to more than 600 live stations across 9 countries across Europe and over 1 billion euros raised. Tune in. Do you also have stations in highways?
Yes.
What works better from a business perspective?
It's a lower risk, lower reward. Once you have a station on a highway, you have exclusivity. You won't have a station next to you. We would rather have people who take risks, have innovative ideas, try it, and have some failure, rather than people who are, let's say, good students.
This is a space where we sit down with the founders building the companies that you actually want to work for. If you're ready for a career that allows you to stop choosing between money and purpose, you've found your home. Welcome to Reinventing Capitalism. Well, Julien, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you, Claudia, for asking me for the interview.
We're going to get into what Electra does in just a second, but I wanted to start by understanding why, after all those years in the energy world, you suddenly decided to found a company. Like, what was it that you saw that was missing or that you could do better?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, good question. I will answer with a little bit of an explanation about the flow that led me to this decision.
Please.
You know, I'm now 41. I decided to create the first company, so Electra, 5 years ago when I was basically 35, 36. So indeed, I worked like almost 12 years before that, which is quite a big amount of time. And that's very useful in what I've been doing today. And if I walk you through the flow, it's like, so impact is not new for me. Being motivated by impact is not new. My background is engineering, and I've always worked in, let's say, impact-driven environment. You know, I work for Veolia environment. Yes. So the main reason behind it is I wanted to really work in something I believe in, because you want to have a positive impact in terms of environment, in terms of social impact, in terms of changing the world the right way. This is the way I would like it. And then I could discover the energy world in large companies like Veolia with very large projects. And I'm not going to go through all the years, but basically what I liked is the scale of the projects and the fact that it's tangible, physical stuff, you know, infrastructure. We'll come back to that, I think. But at some point, I know myself. And if you want to stay motivated, energized, and bring projects forward, you need to have this feeling in the morning. You need to wake up and to be happy to wake up and go work on your project. Yeah. And what I needed is like another type of environment at some point, which is with shorter business cycles, with people who think I want to change things faster. And basically that led me to think I wanted to mix what I like, which is infrastructure, energy, tangible stuff, but also an environment in which you have, like software for good, shorter business cycle, new ideas, something on a transformation, something where people think, you know, about how tomorrow is going to be every day. And at the crossroads, there was EV charging a couple of years ago. And that's how I switched to say, okay, I really want to go to this sector because it seems right. It seems like a good fit. And then I joined a company called Allego. And then I realized we could do things much better. And then I finally ended up to decide, okay, now is the time. All stars are aligned. I'm going to create a company, found a company, and have an impact even more aligned with the way I want it.
And I think, if I remember the timeline correctly, you started thinking about it during lockdown. How do you go from idea to, okay, this is something that can actually work?
Okay, so to connect with the first answer, so it's true that the lockdown was helped to think about the next steps. But for me, it was maybe a bit even before that, because I was on the way, to basically I stopped my career at Veolia after 8 years to go to do an MBA at INSEAD, which I loved. Come back to that as well, probably. And in the back of my head, I was already thinking, I would love to start a company. It's easier said than done, but I was already thinking about it. And then I really wanted to find, like, as I said before, something like an impact, a mission, an object that I really loved and that makes me want to live in, get up in the morning. Then I joined Allego and it was charging. And then I realized, as I said before, so connection is perfect. There are many things that we can improve. And I think with a different set of DNA, there's infrastructure and there is tech, others, but there are the two main ones in Electra. We can do something very differentiated. So what happened is I started to really be convinced the next step would be creating a company around charging. Not much more than that, to be honest. I want to do something in it. But there are many things you could do in the sector. And at some point, I was actually reached out to, thanks to a common friend, by the third co-founder. We were three at the beginning, so Aurélien, but also Augustin. And Augustin reached out to me and we had a pizza close to here and discussing together. The idea was like, okay, plenty of companies in the charging sector are doing public charging on highways. Plenty of companies are doing, they're doing good or not good, but at least there are many companies. Same thing for public charging, for slow charging in cities. But no company is taking care of fast charging in cities and in peri-urban areas. So there must be something. Like there is a space to be taken, and then we just needed to work around the idea to make sure there is a business case and a need, which we did after. And actually, after a couple of meetings with Augustin and then very quickly with Aurélien, it clicked. Like it was the good sector, the good idea. It was focused enough on an idea we liked. It was combining, let's say, infrastructure and tech the right way. And the founding team was perfect in my eyes. And so basically after, we had this pizza, I don't know, in September. And in November, so quite quickly, 2 months after, when we met, the three of us, maybe the second time, we decided, like after maybe 1 hour and a half, of common meetings, okay, let's go. We want to start something together. That's how it went.
That's how it happened. Something that some type of skepticism that I hear is what comes first, the opportunity or the passion for the solution? What came first for you? The opportunity of seeing that there was something that there was a hole in the market that you could fill, or your passion for electrifying the industry and contributing to climate change?
No, it's a super interesting question. It's hard to answer that because, the easy answer, and I will start with that, I will try to elaborate, is it's basically the two go together, right? Because if you have the passion, but you don't have like an opportunity, so no sustainable business case, nothing will happen. And I'm very driven by actual impact, actually doing stuff. That's why I did consulting, but I didn't stay long because I like to execute rather than advise. So I would say it's both, but I think I would say it's if I really have to be, more clear on that one, I think it starts with passion. It was energy, transition, infrastructure. I like this, let's say, technology shift, coming with electric cars coming very soon, and we need to crack, this egg and chicken problem. Another one, which is you don't have EVs because you don't have chargers, but you don't have chargers, so you don't have EVs, and you need to crack the cycle. And what we wanted to do is actually crack it, build a company, invest, crack the cycle, and we realized there was an opportunity quite quickly. So I would say it's a chronological thing, which is passion first and then opportunity. But if there was, of course, no, let's say, solid business opportunity, anyway, I would have felt like, okay, this is a good idea, this is a good mission, but not much will happen, so I don't want to go.
Understood. So you've walked us up to the point of founding Electra. Tell us what you actually do, because you're not making the cars, you're not making the energy. So like, in simple terms, what do you do and who do you serve?
Sure. I'll try to make it as simple as possible. So we are public fast charging network operator. So what we do is we find locations in very simple terms, parking lots.
Okay.
We secure the land, long term, 15, 20, so sometimes 25 years. So we rent the square meters, then we invest. That means we build the stations.
Mm-hmm.
We buy the chargers. We buy electrical equipment. We do the engineering. We integrate it. We do architecture. We build it. And then we own the asset, the station. We don't own the parking lot most of the time. We own the asset. And then we operate it over the long term. And the end game is to deliver a super qualitative and simple charging, fast charging, fast Electra, it means 10 to 25 minutes, to anybody that can come to the station. Can be B2B, B2C. Anybody with an electric car can come to the station.
Okay.
So we make money basically by selling energy to the car, right? And in our costs, we have, so CAPEX, obviously. One station is roughly €500,000, a bit more.
$500,000 for one station.
Yeah, one station
How
was
many
roughly
cars?
eight.
8
On average.
Okay.
We have from 2, but no, that's not the standard, to 28. But the average is 8.
Okay.
And then you have, the rent, because we pay rent to the parking lot owner. You have the variable cost of the energy.
Mm-hmm.
We buy, as you said, we don't produce it, we buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have other operating costs like maintenance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we sell the energy to the end customer with a gross margin, and then with the volume over time, we have a business plan. That's how it works.
I love how you've summarized it in 30 seconds. Really quick summary.
Thank you.
When you say B2B and B2C, so is the difference the intermediary of who pays you? Because the service in itself, it's cars being charged in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, it's a good question. Then if you want to split, let's say, the customer segment in B2C, B2B, which you actually do, B2C is any driver around with a private car.
Okay.
Classic. You go on holiday, you
Easy.
drive around, you have to go, you go to an Electra station like you used to go, except it's much better, but like you used to go to a gas station, you feel it. That's how it works, right? And you can use several ways to charge at Electra. This is our own app, credit card, or a mobility pass. Then B2B. B2B can be B2B2C. So think like Uber drivers, VTC, right? So it's kind of the same thing, except there is a framework agreement with, for example, special prices or conditions. And then you have, let's say, more pure B2B, such as fleet operators, last mile delivery with trucks, or even corporate fleets. Yeah. And in the end, you have like a special contract with special conditions and also special product features for B2B customers. For example, when you're a fleet operator, you're super happy to, for example, have a payment only at the end of the month, with dedicated billing. You are happy to, track CO2 savings or these kind of things. So we build specific features also for B2B. But in the end, yes, 100% of our stations are split. That means anybody B2B or B2C, there are a couple of exceptions, but anybody B2C or B2B can go to the station. So you can have a station with B2B and B2C customers at the same time. Yeah,
exactly, because the service that you're giving, ultimately it's the same.
Exactly. When we say customer, we have to be actually clear, because, customer can be like a large company, corporate fleet, but sometimes we say customer, but what we mean is driver.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference. Yeah, but you can have a B2C driver and a B2B driver.
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
Or a B2B2C driver. Yeah.
And how long does it take for your station to get to be profitable on average?
Good question. So it highly depends on stations. That's why you're asking on average.
Okay.
What matters most today, really, is location. It's location and EV penetration. So in a country, or let's say in a region where you have plenty of EVs, you're much more likely to have a lot of traffic. And if you're very well located, I don't know, close to a highway or high traffic road, a station can be profitable from day one, meaning, you have break even on all OPEX. And all stations have a ramp-up period, and at least 6 months, so that people get to know it, they're getting used to it, at least 6 months. And then I would say from today, on average, that means you need a certain amount of years to see your CAPEX back. It depends, because the metrics are different in all countries. The gross margin on energy cost. Then now we have subscription fee. You have it's complicated business, but it takes a couple of years. I would say between 3 and 5.
Which are your biggest, the biggest countries where you operate?
So our headquarters is based in Paris. So we started in France. So out of 700 stations live today, we're opening every day. So I think we're slightly below 700 today.
Wait, you open 700 stations a day?
No. Overall. And we're currently
Oh.
opening like between 1 and 2 per day.
One or two per
Not
day.
every day, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
on
yeah,
average. But over time, our network is now has 700 stations, meaning 4,300 charge points.
Okay.
Yeah. In France, we have 350, so half of it, because we started earlier. In Belgium, we have like almost 160. So I would say France and Belgium. Then it's Italy. And that's all because we started in these geographies first. But the plan, the ambition, the plan, and we're on the right way to do that, is to be in the top 3, top 2 of each country. So we are scaling fast in all other geographies. We are in 10 countries now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you also have stations in highways?
Yes.
What works better from a business perspective?
It's a good question, especially that I mentioned at the beginning that we're specialists of urban and peri-urban areas. So I would say it's hard to answer in terms of better, but I can explain the differences between the two and also why we did highways, because originally we didn't really want to do it. So the difference is...
Before you say it, I did a bit of research, and it seems that the biggest players before you focused more on highways than in urban
Yes.
areas.
It's because it's less risky.
Okay.
So if
Now you can go on.
Yeah, if you go on highway, basically it's in most geographies, depends, but it's a lower risk, lower reward. Can explain. It's hard to build because it's institutional. It's Vinci. It's hard. It's very infrastructure like constraints. It's difficult from an operational standpoint, but in terms of business, once you have a station on a highway, you have exclusivity. So you won't have in most cases you won't have a station next to you, right? And basically, when people will drive, they will stop there, right? They won't like drive 15 minutes away to drive somewhere else sometimes, but it's less and less, right? So it's less risky because you're going to capture the traffic, right?
Yes.
But it's also, so it's low risk, but it's also lower reward because can you imagine if you are in urban, peri-urban areas, okay, it's more risky because you can't have competition around. It's hard because if we find the best location, maybe you kill competition.
Because there are not many.
There are not many. But in some cases you have. In some cases you have like Electra, Power, Total. Everybody is not close to each other, like 10 meters, but in the same area. So you have competition. But if you are very good, let's say you find the best location, you're good operationally, meaning you have good costs. You're good on energy sourcing. You have a good pricing strategy. You have the best experience, of course, meaning it's reliable, meaning you understand the app, you understand the price, etc. You will capture the traffic. And can you imagine like a B2B contract with, Colissimo or Amazon? That doesn't happen on highways, that happens in cities. So if you're very good on cities, you have more reward. And it's harder to operationalize. It's more complex. It requires also, I would say, strong tech capabilities because you have many, let's say, use cases to crack. Can you imagine, for example, changing the price? On highways, you don't do that.
Yeah.
But in cities, yeah. Can you imagine sometimes you're underground with parking lots where you need to pay? So you don't want your customers to pay twice, right? So you have to build an API, 45-minute, free parking. But if they stay longer, what do you do? So you need to pay back to these kind of use cases. You need to enable them through software.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the big differentiating things at Electra from day one. We do infrastructure, we do technology, we do both. And if you want to crack the charging case, you need to be very strong on both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes very well with the urban positioning.
Mm-hmm.
It's high risk, but if you're good, it's high reward.
It seems that
it's a long answer, but I hope it clarifies a lot of things.
No, it does. It's very operationally complex.
Mm-hmm.
And you've said publicly that it's very capital intense to build this business with a lot of, and there is a lot of competition. Do you recall what has been the hardest thing to achieve throughout this year since you founded Electra?
It's a good question. So many things come. It's the hardest, many hard times. I would say one of them was actually, quite early. I would say summer 23. I will give two examples maybe. One of them was early 23. We had to open actually our 8 first highway stations,
Okay.
And we are not like, maybe today more, but at the time we were still smaller. And you have companies like, utilities, NG, they are a very large company with, century-old processes. we won 8 stations, and we had to build it before June 30th, all of them. And if not, you had 5,000 euros a day of penalty.
5,000.
Yes, but 60 days in a row, because it was forbidden to work on site between July and August because it's summer holidays. So it was like 300k per station, 8 times. It's not, even if you're well funded, that's not
It's not
small
nothing.
things, right? And it's also a reputation thing. And so we pushed with the operational team while keeping safety, zero accidents, super intense. We pushed, and some people worked at night. We commissioned things during the night, and it was like the good stuff of startups, but while keeping the infrastructure industrial approach with safety and stuff. And we opened it. All of them were open on time, and it was Vinci said that they had never seen that ever.
Whoa.
So it's like, it was super hard, but also very rewarding.
Yeah.
And the other one, I'll be short on that one, is maybe when we were in the process of finalizing, working on the fundraising of 304 million euros. We had like some runway, like many months. But if you fail the funding, you have to slow down. Like you stop rollout, you stop expenses, you stop hiring. Maybe you even have to fire people, which we never had to do in this kind of case. But on one hand, you want to go like 200% all in because you want to demonstrate during the fundraising that you're very good, that you have the metrics. On the other hand, you're saying, okay, but when should I slow down in case it fails? And it was a hard moment, but we decided to just go all in, push, and we had the successful fundraising. But I must say it was an intense moment.
I can imagine. I wanted to ask this question because from the outside, everything looks super pretty when it comes to entrepreneurship, but no one really sees all these fires that you need to stop almost on a daily basis. So thank you for sharing. Okay, so I have a question. I think there's still a lot of skepticism on EVs, electric vehicles in general. How do you produce them, the supply chain? Now there's political headwinds in the US. How do you protect yourself against that?
You mean public opinion, business, or both?
Both.
Both. Okay.
As in, how do you make sure that you don't fall into believing this false conviction?
Okay. Well, that's pretty easy.
Just believing.
No, it's believing. No, I mean, if you, I'm an engineer, right? But if you look at an electric vehicle, everything starts from the product, right? Then you have obviously like economical, political realities. But if you look at the product, it makes just so much sense in terms of efficiency, in terms of so many things. Like it's so efficient compared to like this gas burning century-old technology, which was fun, and it's fun to have some noise because we're used to it. But it just makes no sense. It's like you have an iPhone and you have a BlackBerry from 10 years before, and you compare the two, and it's just much better, right? So if you start from there, it's going to come. The technology shift, it's going to come. The question is really like how much time is going to take and what can we do such that, it's not only coming from China, and we also do interesting stuff for sovereignty in Europe. So for us, our job at Electra is to develop the network at the right pace, in the right location, to make sure our business is sustainable, and we know it's going to come. So on a daily basis, it means a couple of actions. It means, involvement in public affairs. So we have a team working with governments in different countries and at European level, to explain, because you have like lobbies from OEMs, automotive OEMs that are very powerful, right? They are very large companies. They are very powerful. Everybody knows them. Electra in the charging world, we are known, but outside the charging world, nobody knows us, right? So but we invest billions of euro and our investors to develop the network. So we want our voice to be heard because that's a good mission, right? So this is a public affair and let's say communication issue to fight against these opinions. And operationally, we know it's going to come. So it's just maybe sometimes making sure the quality of the site or the location is maybe a bit better than what we had thought a couple of months ago, to make sure they're going to be profitable faster than but we know it's going to come. It's infrastructure. It's long term. It's 20 years at least. So we just.
So it's a matter of proving it.
Yeah, and yeah. That's it.
I want to move to the concept of purpose at work. which is our ethos and also the service that we give to both companies and talent. I've read that Electra is based on 3 key values: passion, simplicity, and boldness.
Yes.
I'm curious to know, how do you assess whether if someone has these 3 instead of someone that pretends that has these 3? Because it's 3 words that sound very well, but I think are hard to, just to be sure that someone is truly in for the ride on these 3 key values.
Yes. Okay. So first thing is these 3 values really mean something, They are decline in behaviors that's expected. So everybody at Electra, especially managers, but everyone understands what it means, right? And then we explain it again and again on a regular basis in leadership meetings, etc. So once it's really understood by everyone, it's much easier for people who interview to really feel what it means.
So you teach it?
Yes, we give examples.
Okay.
And of course, the best way to teach it, let's say, is to lead by example.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah, then you have some principles in terms of management, in terms of leadership, in terms of behavior. But yeah, we do it. And about, simplicity, passion, boldness, in the interviews, we have like typical, nothing magical, no wizardry anywhere, right? It's typical questions and business cases where we can assess on, people can always say that things that are not true, but it's a fit, so it's not in their interest. We explain it, because it's okay to have other values. It's just how the way we work. So if you don't fit, it's fine. You have plenty of other companies, so we really explain it. And then during the business cases, sometimes for key people at least, we have like at least 2 people on our end asking questions, and really it shows like in real situation. Like I don't know, if you were in my shoes in front of a customer on this typical situation, what would you do? It shows. And I think let's say one of the hardest one to understand maybe is boldness, and boldness means I would say contrary to large companies, I would say, maybe not all of them, but so people are so specialized that they have like a very clear job
Goal,
description,
task. Yeah.
and they can be super efficient at it, and that's it. Boldness is really like test stuff, test it. We won't blame you for, you have limits, right? Safety is a big one, but you have limits, you have financial limits, but we would rather have people who take risks, have innovative ideas, try it, and have some failure, rather than people who are, let's say, good students.
Yeah, so sure.
And yeah.
I love that you say that, because through our headhunting services, the way that we hire for values on top of skill is exactly like this. Like, it's almost like a personality test when you are interviewing these people. Like, you fire different questions trying to get the same answer, and either all, lead to the same path, or that something is off balance. So I love the answer, because that's exactly how you get people. Because if you're not truly honest, at some point you're gonna falter.
In interviews, an interview is both ways, huh?
Totally.
Should be both ways.
Should be both ways. No, absolutely. Because otherwise you're gonna struggle after all.
Yeah.
If you're in a company that you don't match with the culture or the values.
Yeah.
But it's hard when you're looking for a job, because you want to make it work in any of the cases.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned, now you compared like how a startup operates with a big corporate. You've had the best of both worlds. If someone listening is, like trying to decide what to go for, how would you, what's a framework that they can use to choose?
It's a good question. I don't know if I would have a framework. What I would do is really like not think, should I join a startup or a big company? I'm not sure it's the right question. It's really more what kind of environment, people, team, project, mission makes you want to get up in the morning. If you have a startup that is pretty cool, but the object is interesting, but it's, I don't know, it's crypto for me, it's like not my thing. Or a big company working on maybe a bit slowly, but on a very large project, super interesting, that you will never see in a startup, and you want to see that, go for it. If what you like is really just deciding very fast, and you'll have a bigger emotional distance to the object, and that you are going to want to wake up in the morning to work with people who would give you energy, go for the startup. But there's no definite answer. I would just, it's so many dimensions. It's not just
Absolutely.
companies and startup. It's project, people, and I would say that the most interesting criteria is people and culture that will teach you stuff. And it's the right environment, you will grow the most out of it. And and then at some point, if you want to change, you will change, but you will have learned as much as you can.
Yeah, so it seems that it all starts by knowing yourself, knowing where you thrive in and what you're really passionate and interested in.
Yes.
So much responsibility these days on making decisions.
Right.
Okay, so we're getting to the end of the interview, and I wanted your thoughts on the big name of the podcast, right? Reinventing Capitalism. I think your company is a very clear example of solving an environmental problem or addressing an environmental problem while making money. What do you think of it? Like, do you think that is a reinvention of the system, or do you think that is kind of what we're seeing at the beginning of the interview, right? Like all the odds being in the same direction, so taking advantage of the opportunity.
I think it's really the second one. Meaning, sorry for the name of the
Being
podcast.
Being on it.
No. But I mean, things can be aligned at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big technology trend that is positive for the environment. That not only, but it's also much nicer to drive an EV. Less noise. Talk to biker in the mountains when they have EVs around. Like it's just much better in many ways. So this is coming, right? You need to go with charging networks that go with this trend coming, right? You have what helped us a lot at the beginning. So that's where things can be aligned and where like European regulation, sometimes we say it's too heavy. It's probably true, but sometimes it's also very helpful. There were like a very strong subsidy scheme at the beginning. When you think about our IRR, so return on investment, it's over time. And at the beginning of the story of Electra, 5 years ago, you don't have many cars on the road, right? And then you have more. So the story of your station starts later. Your return on investment is better because you have more cars from day one, right? And actually, there were subsidies to make sure people actually invest to crack the cycle so that there is a network so that people buy cars. And that was super helpful. But it's not us. It's like things are aligned with good regulation. Now subsidies are gone, and now our business works without. So there are also, regulation stuff that helped us a lot and that are still helping. But our business is a profitable business, so it's aligned. Like it's impactful in terms of environment, but it's not only. It's interesting. The thing is, it's interesting because we all know it's good at Electra. I mean, we all know it's very good for environment. Producing an electric car at the beginning produces more CO2, but it's offset very quickly because electricity in most countries in Europe is so clean that after a couple of thousands of kilometers, it's offset.
What takes more CO2? To build a car?
Yes, because of the battery.
Okay.
When it's electric, it's more, it's true. But in France, after 20,000 kilometers, it's already offset. So, and the car lives for hundreds of thousands of kilometers, even electric ones, even with batteries. It's true, it lasts very long. So it's much better. Everybody knows it, but we don't talk about it so much because in a way it's quite obvious. But I think what we talk about is it's just a better technology. It's better. It's more fun to drive. It's also a sovereignty, mission, because think about the Iran war today and the oil coming up. Like, I think people are going to probably think of buying more electric cars also because of this. So I would say the climate impact is super important and makes people want to work even better. But that's not the main thing we talk about on a daily basis, I would say.
I understand. It's making me reflect because if you take the status quo and you build companies that solve a social or environmental problem, they become impact companies because they're doing something good and they're having a positive impact. But when that becomes the norm, then these so-called impact companies are just companies. So then they're opportunistic and they're taking advantage of a fault in the market that in this case is social or environmental. So it's kind of like you start with, like this positivity, but then it just ends up being all the same.
Yes.
I wonder how do you make decisions, when it comes to having these two sides together? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to prioritize this positive impact or money? I think that's maybe what makes a difference of whether if we are changing the way in which we do business.
I would say short answer is no, but there might be a small thing. It's, we also build stations with stationary batteries. Won't go into technical details, but it's good for the grid. It's good innovation.
Yeah.
And basically, we thought we wanted to try to source batteries in Europe. But if you buy a battery in Europe, the business case doesn't exist
Why?
because it's too expensive. So we are buying batteries in China.
Yeah.
And best technology is in China. Anyway, if you buy a battery in Europe, cells come from China in most cases. So it's like, it's anyway the best technology, and that's where it is. So it made us think, but in the end, it's very good because it accelerates our deployment. It enables some stations. It makes it financially possible. And anyway, it's the best technology. That's why I think of this example where we had to think about it, but actually it was not a big trade-off because that's the only way.
The only way. Well, Julien, thank you so much. We've reached the end of the interview. I've loved it. I think it was a new model for me, so I've learned a lot. I think I love the way that you bring down the culture in your company. It's something that I see a lot working with clients because it's very hard. It's very easy to attract people through your mission because you're electrifying fleet or like helping contribute to climate change. But then what I see is that a lot of these companies sometimes make it hard to bring down that mission and this culture to how you actually live within the company. And from you, what I get is that you are very aware of how to emulate this by example and make sure that these two are very similar and close to each other. So thank you so much. I've seen that you're hiring. The majority of our listeners are people that want to make a career change. So I'll make sure to publish the job openings and maybe we get some listeners working for Electra soon.
Definitely looking for great talent. So very good. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claudia.